virus and try to reboot, importance of science and research cannot be overemphasized. This cannot be done unless we have the young population embracing science as a career path. We need to have our best and the brightest choosing a career in sciences and research. It is to inspire each of you, to explain to each of you about the future of careers in science that we requested our guest and speaker today, and he has kindly agreed. He is a person of the highest possible stature that India could think of. The only scientist who got India's highest civilian order, the Bharat Ratna. It is my privilege and a proud moment for everyone at Career 360 to welcome Dr. Prof C.N.R. Rao. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
Prof Rao was born in 1934 at Bangalore. He received the MSc degree from Benares, PhD from Purdue, and DSc from Mysore universities. He is an honorary president and Linus Pauling Research Professor at the Jawaharlal Nehru Center for Advanced Scientific Research. He is also an honorary professor at the Indian Institute of Science. His main research interests are in solid state and materials chemistry. He is an author for about 1,750 research papers and 53 books. He has received honoris causa doctorate degrees from 81 universities, including Purdue, Bordeaux, Benares, Calcutta, Delhi, 5 IITs, and 4 ICERs. Professor Rao is a member of several of the science academics of the world, including the Royal Society London, the National Academy of Sciences USA, the Russian, French, and Japan academics, as well as the American Philosophical Society. Among the various medals and honors that Professor Rao has got, mention may be made of Bhatnagar Prize in 68, Padma Shri in 74, Royal Society of Chemistry London Medal in 1981, Padma Vibhushan in 1985, Honorary Fellowship of the Royal Society of Chemistry London in 89, Einstein Gold Medal of UNESCO in 96, Centenary Medal of the Royal Society of Chemistry in 2000. He is the first recipient of India's Science Award by the Government of India and received the Dan David Prize for Science in the Future Dimension for the Research in Material Science in 2005. He was named Chemical Pioneer by the American Institute of Chemists 2005, Cavalier de Legion d'Honneur by the French President in 2005, and received the Honorary Fellowship of the Institute of Physics London 2006. He received the Nikkei Asia Prize for Science, Technology and Innovation in 2008, and the highest civilian honor that the President of India conferred on him, the Bharat Ratna, in 2014. The Emperor of Japan bestowed the Order of the Rising Sun Gold and Silver Star in 2015 to Professor Rao. Professor Rao was Chairman Scientific Advisory Council to the Prime Minister during 2004 to 2014, and also between 85 and 89. He was the President of the Academy of Sciences for the Developing World. He is the founder president of both the Chemical Research Society of India and the Materials Research Society of India. Professor Rao was president of the Indian National Science Academy, the Indian Academy of Sciences, and the International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry. He was the director of the Indian Institute of Science 1984 to 94 and chairman Scientific Advisory Committee of the Union Cabinet between 97 and 98. Thank you, sir, for joining us today. The entire 280 member family of the Career 360 and the 80 million students who trust Career 360 for deciding their career path are grateful to you for agreeing for this session and guiding them on their pursuit of careers in science. Over to you, Professor Rao, to inspire, motivate, and tell our students what they must do about careers in science.
Thank you very much. I'm very glad to participate in this wonderful and very worthwhile venture to excite students about science that we are doing. Well, my dear young friends, science has changed. Don't forget. It is not what it was some years ago when I was a young man. Look at, for example, biology. Every day there are new things being discovered. Right now we are having COVID, which requires a new vaccine. You need good biology for that, good biologists and others. Opportunities in biology, of course, are immense. But it is not just biology. Let us take chemistry. Chemistry was holding a bunch of test tubes and beakers and doing a little reactions. Those days are over. You come to my lab and see the kind of instrumentation we have, the kind of computation we do. Chemistry is different. There are many branches of chemistry where there are no people in India working on it. For example, the so-called area of synthetic biology. I am looking for somebody, some young Indian to come and work here in that area. I have not yet found them. Most of them work in the United States. I think you should remember chemistry, biology, and every branch of science is expanding enormously. A good example is nanoscience. A few years ago, say 15 years ago, nanoscience was in infancy. Today, nanoscience is an exciting area where it is extremely competitive. There are so many new discoveries. For example, there are new nanomaterials, new kinds of two-dimensional materials with immense applications which we never thought of, say even 10 years ago. Well, for example, nanoscience is used in medicine, nanomedicine, for example, for cure for cancer. In fact, one discovery I tell you, some of the young boys in Israel, whom I helped, did this. They created a nano nose. What does nano nose do? When you breathe out, as we all do, one molecule out of a million molecules will be characteristic of a particular cancer. That for breast cancer, they discovered that. It is used now in many major hospitals in America as well. So this is what is happening. Things are changing in science. I want to know opportunities also, therefore, are changing. Science itself is now highly cross-disciplinary. For example, though I am a chemist, I publish papers in material science, in physics. Actually, it is a very, very cross-disciplinary science. If you want to be a good scientist, it is very important to know many things in science now. It is no longer a single area where you work on in the world, like in the old days. Most important is science has become part of our life. In the present world, everyone seems to know science. Yet our grandmothers at home will talk about computers, will talk about all kinds of things. The other day I was amazed. The person who cooks in our house came and gave my wife, "Madam, this is your pen drive." I don't know whether she knows what pen drive means. But the use of scientific terms has become so common. Everyone uses scientific terms without even knowing about it. Science is required today in many, many professions, in many, many areas. Even if you are an engineer, if you want to be an outstanding engineer, you have to be knowing a lot of science to back you up. In fact, it's the engineering science that really makes progress all the time. So the reason I'm giving you this general introduction first is to know that opportunities are increasing. In fact, that is unfortunately what is happening in India. I will tell you in a few minutes. Our science teaching is still so boring. In fact, the chemistry they teach in schools, I wouldn't know what to do. It has not changed in the last 100 years. I think if you go to in rural India, if you go to our villages, there are 50 million children, there are 60 million young children in our villages. What about them? Where are the teachers to teach science to them? So we have to improve teaching of science at school level to excite the imagination of children. In my own case, let me tell you, when I was 11 years old in Bangalore, C.N.R. Raman came to our school and gave a lecture. That was the occasion I remember. It was in 1945. My God, I want to be like that man. He was exciting. He was going around the stage, holding on his jacket. I thought, my God, look at that way he talks. Well, we have to directly contact young people. There's of course, it's nice to have online, etc. Meeting and seeing bright scientists talking to you about science is very important. That is why I myself go all over India giving lectures to young children. Even now, there is in Uttarakhand, where I go a lot, in the mountains, or in Kerala, we do a lot of this because everywhere I go, I find bright young children. They need help. They need a direction. They're all interested in science. That is the beauty about India, where the young children who have nothing are more interested in science than, say, our children in Bangalore. Bangalore people are interested a bit more in money, banking, business, administration, and so on. But I don't want to criticize any group of people here. The main thing I'm saying is science teaching and is more and more important. Well, just now I was talking to a very important person in the United States. They're worried about that. They feel the teaching of science in America is terrible, which is true. In fact, America may be great in science, but American teaching in schools has a lot of problems. So the beginning of science, the excitement of science in children starts at school level. In fact, I always tell children, when you are about 14, 15, you must make up your mind what you want to be. You want to be a poet, philosopher, economist, musician, or you want to be a scientist. If you want to become any one of those, make up your mind and never give it up. That is the beauty of everything in the world. Like the stories in science are there. Anyone who makes up his mind and determined manner he goes on, he will never fail. His doggedness is the most important quality in science. Never give up. Faraday, with 3 years of schooling, is even today the greatest scientist the world has ever known. I always give an example of one of the greatest Indian, Mahatma Gandhi. Gandhiji's success in getting freedom is not because he was a very brilliant man, that he would not give up. His doggedness got us freedom. For the entire British Empire, this one man. So science is like that. If you want to do just science, something routine is nothing. But I know we want you young people, some of you, to become the greatest scientists in the world. India wants leaders in science. India wants to get to the top of science. The only way that can happen is the younger generation takes up science and some of them become really outstanding and famous everywhere. In fact, their name should be known. You mentioned the name in that field, everyone knows that. That is the kind of scientists we have to produce. The reason I am telling you is the competition for science now is so severe. In India, we have not realized that. We realize it, but done very little. Look, for example, our Asian neighbors, Japan or Korea, doesn't matter. The way they have invested in science. They make a lot of investment in science. They produce tremendous amount of research, and they really have become very, very outstanding in science. In fact, when Professor C.V. Raman, just before he died, I met him. Professor C.V. Raman told me in a meeting, Professor Rao, why is it India not on top of the world? I am now 81 years old. How come I thought I would see India ruling science in the world? Why it is not happening? Now I am 87 years old. I also say the same. Why are we not on top of the world? If you want to be on the top of the world, you have to encourage the young people and give them more opportunities. We have to invest more in science. I don't want to talk about money today, but we must put more money in science. We put very little. Our investment is very little. And also what we do not realize is the number of scientists in the world, when you look at it, scientists in different countries, the number of scientists in India is very small. The ratio of number of scientists to the population of India is extremely, very, very small compared to China, Korea, Japan, of course, United States or Europe. So I think we need more scientists. So don't say there are no opportunities. If you want to take some science, tremendous opportunities are there in India. India itself. When I was young, it was not true. Today, there are fairly good institutions teaching, giving very good undergraduate education. And ICERS, IISc, many such institutions. So opportunities are available for bright students, for enthusiastic to learn science. So most thing is, what are the opportunities? It's not so bad. The opportunities in science are immense, particularly in India today. Well, I tell you, people say, well, we need to do technology, we have to do new discoveries for industry. Now the startup companies are coming up in India. In fact, in my own center here, there are many young scientists here who have come up with startup companies. New ideas, for example, one of them has tried to find a cure for Alzheimer's disease. So another person has created a fantastic computer program which is so powerful. Our army is interested in it. Tatas and Ambanis are interested in it. Millions of rupees are being invested in that one thing he did, finding a new algorithm in computer science. So there are such examples. In Indian Institute of Science, there are many, many young people coming out with startup company ideas. Why am I telling you this? You see, the other day I went to give a lecture in MIT in America. What is MIT? Why is MIT such a great institution? You know why? A professor there publishes a lot of papers, works with students, does a lot of research. At the same time, you create ideas, innovations that will start give them new companies, new startup ventures. I have a friend of mine, Robert Langer, with whom I shared the Dan David Prize. Dan David Prize, by the way, was $1 million prize given by Israel. And I shared it with Robert Langer of MIT. Robert today has 40, 50 PhD students. The same publishes a lot of papers. At the same time, he has become a billionaire. Can you imagine, based on his ideas? and companies. So people don't say to make money, you don't have to go to IT or something, some business, not necessary. Even through science, people have made money. I wanted to know that. So in India should become like that. India should be the place where it is ready to receive new ideas, receive new innovations, and encourage those ideas coming out of our country by young people. I'll give you one example. I had a very good friend of mine, and he got a Nobel Prize some time ago. And he was working in a small company in Japan. He is the one who discovered that gallium nitride emits blue light. I hope you know that. We can produce all colored lights, but blue light was very difficult. It is very difficult to produce blue light. But he found a transistor made of gallium nitride is blue light. Why? What is important of blue light? Blue light, you just mix it with yellow, some phosphor, it becomes white light. So every lamp you have in India, every LED you have today has gallium nitride in it. And that was a discovery made by a man in a little lab. And of course, that type of research is possible. One can make many things. Well, there are lots of possibilities that open many new venues like in other countries. Well, you can say, well, what are the new venues? I can give a list if you like, in each area. But in my own area, the challenges are, I tell you, what are the challenges of India? You just think about it, you can work on it. For example, energy. Everybody talks of energy. In another 15 years, India requires 400,000 megawatts of electricity. Who will produce it? Where is that 400,000 megawatts? Not nuclear energy. Nuclear energy, maybe 20,000, 30,000, even 40,000. But we want 400,000. Every village, if it requires electricity, everyone uses all kinds of electrical gadgets. What will you do? You have to. So this is a challenging problem. How can we use solar energy, for example, to produce new kind of solutions to energy problem? Well, I'll give you one example. Hydrogen is the best energy source we have got today. Unfortunately, we are using these batteries, lithium batteries, that will all die because lithium is not available in the world, is almost over. And cobalt in lithium cobalt use is available only in Congo. And Chinese and Americans are buying all that. So lithium cobalt, those batteries will go away. So anyone who talks about battery system and all, okay. But however, hydrogen, infinite amount of hydrogen is available. You burn it, you get water. So environment is not affected. But lots of hydrogen cars there already. Except that we have to find ways of storing it. In our own lab, we have found now we can make hydrogen the way as much as we want by using sunlight. You can also use the heat from the sun. See, he used the heat from the sun and you put through a cell where you send water vapor and water vapor decomposes, gives you hydrogen. Amazing. Of course, you have to use a catalyst. And in fact, one company is actually putting up a plant using heat from the sun, not only sun, light. So there are many problems, challenging, interesting, exciting in the frontier of science. At the same time, what is man, required by man? Well, the same is carbon dioxide. One of the worst problems in mankind today is the amount of CO2. When I was a young man, there was no CO2 in the air in Bangalore. Today is when Bangalore, next to Delhi, is the most polluted city. The amount of CO2, nitrogen oxide, carbon monoxide, terrible. We breathe that, of course, we have all the time wheezing and all, mainly because all these gases we breathe. How do we get rid of CO2? Simple thing. You know what it is doing? Even the oceans of the world getting carbonates everywhere. It is destroying the oceans of the world. It is not just air here. The destruction carbon dioxide is doing for our environment is so vast that in about 15 years, when you young people become middle-aged people, you will face it. And I won't be around at that time. It will be a terrible, terrible world to live with that much of carbon dioxide. How about working on use the carbon dioxide in the air, somehow suck it out, find some solution to remove that by either chemical or other means. Is it possible? Yes, there are many ideas coming up. But I just saw the other day one or two new things coming out of this. So there are many, many problems like that, very challenging problems. Of course, I will now come back to something very mundane, unnecessary, you may say, but I want to. The reason is the excitement of students, excitement of teachers Most of it is taken away because of our too much importance for exams in India. It's all how much marks you get. That's stupid. What marks? In fact, the man who got the greatest scientist India produced, the first scientist, J.C. Bose was the first great scientist of India who discovered the radio. In 1895, 19th century, he got a second-class BSc. Right? Michael Faraday had only 3 years of schooling. And Mendeleev, who discovered the periodic table, he was so poor, he wanted to study in Russia, in Moscow. His mother said, let us go to Moscow. Moscow was 1,500 kilometers from where they were. So they said, walked all the way to Moscow. Can you imagine how many days in that cold weather? And then eventually, of course, he was very easily sick and so on. He is the man who made the periodic table possible. That was, we discovered, we celebrated the centenary of periodic table last year. But anyway, the reason I'm telling you is, we can make tremendous discoveries independent of our background. It has no caste, it has no religion, it has no color. Science is nothing to do with all that. Anybody is good enough to do good science if he is interested. Some people say, I'm doing engineering, what can I do? Well, let me tell you, two of my greatest friends, both of them who got Nobel Prizes, are both degrees in engineering, but got Nobel Prize in physics and chemistry. So what I'm saying is, independent of what you study as an undergraduate, you can become a scientist later. And you have to make up, are you interested in science? Because the problem is that if you are interested, you won't give up. You will study science as an undergraduate, go to science later, but unfortunately, that interest in you to do science must be something in your heart, something in your mind. You see, what is the problem with India of all things? You say is, people do work, they don't have their heart in it. They are not excited about their work. But we need more scientists, young fellows, whose ambition in life is to do good science, nothing else. They are not tempted by big jobs, administration, politics, membership of Rajya Sabha, none of that. Doing science. It is more exciting than being in Rajya Sabha or being a big administrator. Stupid, anybody can be an administrator. All you have to do is pass one exam. But to do a good science, which is as good as best in the world, it is not enough to pass one exam. Every day is an exam. Because you are competing with the world, you don't even know with whom you are competing. That is the beauty. I have enjoyed that life. You see, I have now just completed in this month 70 years in scientific research. I've been doing research for 70 years. So I started at the age of 17. I'm like 87. So it's been a wonderful life. I tell you, happiness, if you measure happiness, I don't know anyone happier than myself. I have no requirement. Everything I want is just seeing my own papers. My students always joke with me, sir, you are more excited about one new paper you are publishing. I've already published 1,700 papers, but it's it's a new one I got. My God, I no idea. I feel very happy. No, so tell me another field which gives you this happiness. Of course, I know I'm very fond of music. Great musicians are like that. There is no end to excellence, you see, in music. Go on improving it. If you remember the famous story of Alauddin Khan, the great Indian musician, Alauddin Khan was asked when he was about to die, a few months before he died. Khan Sahab, they asked him, what is it you have learned in 50 years? You are going on doing riyaz. He said, after 50 years now I understand what Todi Raga is, or something like that. Science is also a bit like that. There are many problems you work your lifetime to understand. There are some problems you do, like musicians, you go on giving performances. That doesn't mean you are perfect. See, because there is what is called limitless ladder of excellence in science. The more you climb that ladder, there is more to climb. There is no end for excellence. So that is why at my old age, at 87, I'm still trying to climb the ladder. I don't know when, because I can't reach the top. Nobody reaches the top. The top is wherever it is. So I think that is the beauty of science. And happiness is one thing you want. Science gives you that happiness. A very satisfying life. And people say, what about salary? Not bad. Today, a young man who joins my department as an assistant professor gets 1 lakh rupees a month. Not bad. Salaries are not bad. Don't worry about that. The salary is not important. Don't you see? As long as you have enough to live, what else is important? Then you do better work, better discoveries, then you get more money also. So that is okay. Get awards, get rewards. The rewards don't come just because you're a nice, looking young boy. Rewards come because you have done fantastic work. It is not the reward alone. Science is not done by for rewards. Science is done for satisfying your real need, your real intellectual need. In fact, I want to quote a great sage of India, Adi Shankaracharya. You see, what he said was, we use at most the brain. Brain is nothing. But there is something higher than the brain, that is the mind. Even higher than the mind is consciousness. In our effort to do science in India, we have to use our brain, our mind, our consciousness should be in our effort to science. Then you see India will be number one. We need young people to do that. I hope many of you will get excited about doing science and put up your mind to do, to explore, to create, and so on. And the only quality required for success, as I told you, is the doggedness and dedication, and science you will succeed. And there are so many things to be done, innumerable wonderful problems, exciting, and in fact, I hope we will find some of you taking up science to do this. Thank you so much.
Sir, I'll take just two questions, sir. Some students are coming in, so I'll just take two questions from you.
Right.
One is from a student called Karunesh, sir. His question is that he wants to do science, but his parents want him to do engineering and first get onto a job and so on and so forth. Without being judgmental, what is your take of parents' pressure on?
This is a common problem, particularly in Bangalore.
Yes, sir.
There's so much so today there are 7,000 engineers that are jobless in Bangalore.
Okay.
What happens is every father and mother guides his child to make money as early as possible and so on. And my first rule, if you don't mind my saying, never listen to parents. Parents are the first advisors. At least in my case, I had a wonderful parent. Whatever I want to do, my father and mother agree. I said, do that. But everyone said, you did such a wonderful bachelor's degree. Why did you do IAS? Those days in 1951. I said never. They said, do whatever you like. I want to be a scientist, I want to go to America, I want to do this. I think that is how parents should be. Encourage the child to do what the child likes most. If a child wants to be a poet or a philosopher, don't make him a mechanic. I think if he wants to be a mechanic, it's fine. So that is what the trouble is. Everybody is pushed into various venues by the societal pressure. Our society is terrible. There's also, I didn't talk about society. The value system in society is such. If you go for ordinary BSc, if you do, students are nothing, is only doing BSc. Don't be shy about that. What is there in getting engineering? Every silly fool gets it nowadays. So I think this is happening and young people should fight it. I hope God gives them the strength to do what they want, not to listen to parents, not to listen to anyone.
The second thing is, sir, you talked of doggedness. This is the first time I heard a scientist talk of doggedness. And I'm really pleased that you did that, sir. Would you, in your life story or in anything that you know, talk of doggedness, how people continue to fail but continued and still at the end of it succeeded, sir?
India has the greatest examples of doggedness.
Yes, sir.
Great men of India have always been dogged. I'll give you one example. I just mentioned Shankaracharya. Yes. Do you know how he became a saint? He decided to become a saint at the age of 10. So, he died at the age of 32, don't forget, just like Vivekananda. At the age of 10, he went from Kerala all the way to Omkarnath caves in Madhya Pradesh to learn philosophy and Sanskrit. Young boy walked all the way from Kerala. There's no plane and train and bus those days, 1,300 years ago. And then, of course, he walked to Himalayas, Kashmir, Nepal to spread this message. And you asked him about something, he would compose in Sanskrit poems and songs. Brilliant, one of the most brilliant Indians, is the greatest Hindu philosopher we have got. That is what doggedness or what? About Gandhiji, what do you think he has? You think Gandhi was the most brilliant Indian? No. Gandhi was the most dogged person, would never give up. The entire British Empire was nervous about this man who wore the lion cloth and little dhoti and bare chested. Look at that man. So there are many such examples in India. Among scientists, of course, there are innumerable examples. Let me give you two examples. One is J.C. Bose, who discovered in Calcutta in 1895 the radio for the first time, and even demonstrated in Calcutta in the hall, in the municipal hall, whatever it was, how it works, how telegraphy works. Unfortunately, he didn't take a patent, and later, many years later, in 20th century, early 20th century, Marconi did the same thing. What he did, he had already done. Marconi took many patents, and the Nobel Prize was given to Marconi. So the first Nobel Prize of India should have been J.C. Bose, who discovered the radio without anything in Presidency College. Then he wanted a research 2,000 rupees from the government. They said, no, who will give you 2,000? They won't give him. It took a lot of effort to get that. And that man was targeted. The most brilliant example is C.V. Raman. C.V. Raman never had a job as a scientist. He passed the financial accounts exam of the British government, and he was the assistant accountant general at the age of 18 or 20, he got the job. He was that in Calcutta and somewhere else also. And he used to go in the evenings to a place when he was spare time and to do research. And by doing that work on acoustics, he became a fellow of the Royal Society. Much later, he discovered the Raman effect, got him a Nobel Prize. That is what you call it, doggedness because of salary. He didn't have a job. Much later, he became a professor, Indian Institute of Science and all that. But most of his early work was done when he was not a scientist, not produced, given a job as a scientist, but he did it at a spare time.
I think, sir, I'll stop here because I know that you had to rush back. But it was a privilege, real privilege for us to listen to you, sir, because what you spoke, it was like a symphony for me. It was flowing like a seamless river. And I think the kind of stories that you talked today, the kind of anecdotal things that you talked of, and also the opportunities that you talked of in terms of career. It can be, we talk of environment or the current COVID situation. Everything that you talked about today makes sense, and I'm hoping that parents listening out there would take some leaf of what Professor Rao has just said, and hopefully you'll let your children pursue science as a career path, because I think in the next couple of decades at least, or next 50 years, science will only grow in its importance and nothing else. Yes, sir.
So India has to come to the top. The only way it can come to the top when it is top in science. That's what China is trying to do, to become top in the world through science. The army and economy is over. Now it becomes science. America is top because of science. But let me tell you, science is just like Saraswati. My mother always used to tell me that is very important. It is extremely difficult to please Goddess Saraswati. It is very easy to please Lakshmi. She will give you money. Saraswati, for that, you have to prostrate before her and do nothing. Only worship her. Science is similarly a demanding master, demanding master, and you have to completely sacrifice yourself to excel.
Thank you so much, sir. I think because I'm getting messages that you need to be going, so I will let you go, sir. But I'll request Dr. Rao to be staying back, Dr. Narayana Rao to stay back, because there are a lot of questions that are coming in, and I would want one of you to take.
Yeah. I'll try to answer. At the outset, we are highly grateful to Prof C.N.R. Rao for kindly joining this session and motivating the young students and giving a strong message that India should be on the top of the world in science. I'm sure the students have been excited and motivated to that extent. Sir, thank you very much, sir.
God bless.
And thank you so much for coming over, sir. I'm so pleased that you were there, sir.
Mahesh, standing ovation. Standing ovation.
May I request every one of you to give a standing ovation to Professor Rao, please?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Dr. Rao, so students, we still have Dr. Rao with us, Professor Rao, Professor D. Narayana Rao with us. And he will be answering your questions because Professor C.N.R. Rao had to leave, and you should know that he's very, very busy on many things. But I requested Professor D. Narayana Rao to stay back for some time to take your questions. You would already met him when the chief of ISRO had, ISET had come when we talked of the subject on ISRO. But I'll briefly read out to you about Professor D. Narayana Rao. He's a scientist of repute and is known for scientific contributions in the field of atmospheric sciences. He has worked as lecturer, reader, and professor of SV University, Tirupati, during the period 1975 to 2002. He's carried out several major research projects sponsored by science departments and agencies of Government of India like DST, CSIR, MOES, MIT, and UGC. He was later on appointed as the Government of India as Director, National Atmospheric Research Laboratory, Department of Space. Professor Rao has greatly contributed in making NARL a world-class center of excellence for research in frontier areas of atmospheric sciences and radar technology. He had the unique privilege of sensitizing and motivating the young students of SRM University, Chennai in designing, developing, and fabricating a nano satellite which was launched by ISRO in 2011. He has published more than 100 research papers in highly reputed international journals. 27 of his students were awarded the PhD degrees under his research supervision. In recognition of his scientific contribution, he received several awards, including Dr. Sir C.V. Raman Award for Outstanding Contribution to Physical Sciences, awarded by UGC, K.R. Ramanathan Award for Outstanding Contributions to Atmospheric Sciences, Andhra Pradesh scientist. Right, and sometime later, he was also, award for excellence in the field of space science applications he received, presented by the Honorable Prime Minister of India in the year 1996. He had the privilege of receiving Dr. S.S. Bhatnagar Memorial Award from the Honorable Prime Minister of India in the year 2011. Professor Rao was a project director of SRM SAT, a nano satellite which I already mentioned. He took the complete responsibility for the design and development of SRM SAT. The satellite was launched from Sriharikota in 2011. Professor Rao had the opportunity of serving the Indian Science Congress Association as local secretary for the 90th Indian Science Congress held at SRM University in 2011. And later, I think he also hosted the Indian Science Congress under his leadership, where the current Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, was the chief guest. With more than 30 years of academic research and administrative experience blended with progressive views, organizational strengths, Professor Rao has demonstrated his academic, professional, and administrative capabilities as an institution builder. Thank you, Professor Rao, for staying back for the whole thing, sir. Professor Rao, just
for the kind words. Yes, the first question which you have put to Prof C NR Rao by the student, yes, I again want to take up that question.
Yes, sir.
Why you said parents want the students to take? Can you repeat that question?
So, sir, this is coming from a student called Karunesh. He wants to be in science, sir, but his parents want him to do engineering, get a job, and then once he gets into a job, he can pursue his passion of science much later. So, okay, this is essentially between trying to find an occupation and following a passion in science.
Yeah, okay. Prof C NR Rao has kindly motivated and answered, but still I would like to address that question. See, some of the students have passion to take up science as an illustrious career. But at the same time, the parents, the neighbors, the friends, and the society influence the student and push the student to go for some subjects which will give immediate settlement. Some of the parents also want to see that his or her child gets settled very quickly. But they don't realize that the passion of the student is not being encouraged. I will take an anecdote. You should allow me.
Yes, sir.
When Swami Vivekananda was in 7th class, his class teacher asked a question, "What do you want to become?" He said, "I want to become a chariot driver." Because he has seen how the chariot driver maneuvers the chariot in the streets. Then the teacher snubbed him like anything, which happens. When he went home, he was morose. His mother, Bhuvaneswari Devi, asked, "Why you are morose?" He narrated what happened in the class. Then you know what Bhuvaneswari Devi did was, she went to the puja room and brought a Bhagavad Gita picture saying that if you want to become a chariot, you can become a chariot like this, like Krishna. Similarly, if the students want, yes, I want to become like Sir C.V. Raman, J.C. Bose, Srinivas Ramanujan. We have several examples as Prof C.N.R. Rao quoted. Now the question arises, the student, he or she, must pursue the passion and convince the parents. Yes, I am aware that you are looking for early settlement, but I am looking for my happiness throughout life. See, as Prof C.N.R. Rao said, science gives unparalleled joy. He asked you, can you find a happier person than him? Science gives unparalleled joy. Today, the world is looking at happiness quotient. So, the student who has the conviction and passion can convince the parents, yes, I do understand your point. You want early settlement, whereas I am looking towards happiness throughout life. So, this is going on everywhere in the country. I do realize because of our economic conditions, many of us are pushed to take up jobs. But still, with the conviction, the students who can afford should take up science. As Prof. C.N.R. said, this country needs science leaders, top scientists. Okay, yeah.
Sir, there is another thing that keeps coming back to us. There are some niche science courses. It can be earth sciences or astrophysics or astronomy or space sciences, gravitational sciences and all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Can you tell us about 4, 5 of these niche sciences that you think will have a future moving ahead, sir?
See, these are all very exciting areas
Yes.
to work in astronomy, astrophysics, and such things. There
Earth,
are a few
earth
earth,
science.
earth
Yeah,
sciences.
yes, sir.
Earth sciences, of course, includes right from the ground, the atmospheric boundary layer, which is responsible for the onset of monsoons, and also the troposphere, which contains the entire weather, and the stratosphere, which uh, saves us from ozone radiation. So these are all exciting sciences. There are a few institutions in this country where the students can pursue their master's courses in astronomy and astrophysics. Then they can pursue their research in very illustrious centers such as Indian Institute of Astrophysics in Bangalore. Also, there is one Ayuka located in Pune University, that is Inter-University Center on Astronomy and Astrophysics. So likewise, there are opportunities that will take people to the top.
Okay. Sir, the other thing is, earlier Dr. Professor C.N.R. Rao talked of, inculcating the habit of science in the school itself, right? And
Yeah,
we
yeah.
have seen that nations who have scientific temper seem to progress far faster than nations which don't have scientific temper. How do we as a country and we as parents inculcate scientific temper amongst young people, sir?
Yeah, see, today if you look at the schools in the country at large, they may have laboratories, but the student might not have seen a test tube or a pipette. Now, what is to be encouraged, at least in some schools where it is possible, like Kendriya Vidyalayas and CBSE schools, science needs to be inculcated into the minds of the students by inviting some of the people like C.N.R. Rao and others. So as C.N.R. Rao said in 1945, when he was a 11-year-old, Sir C.V. Raman came to his school and he got excited.
That's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we are able to excite like that, let us say one student in one school, this country will have huge number. So some efforts have to be put by the school administration as well as the government and some of the societies like Career 360 and others. It's doable and it needs to be done in the country.
At a very basic level, sir, students and parents saying that if you become an engineer, you actually have an immediate occupation and a career path and all.
Yeah.
Whereas the career path, when you take up sciences, and I'm moving away from the joy and the emotional quotient of it, when you take up sciences, what is the clear career path that students should be able to visualize?
Okay. Yeah, as I said again and again, somebody taking a B.Tech and getting into some profession, which you understand the profession,
Yeah.
very early settlement. I will put it in a lighter vein. Somebody joins a software industry, gets settled for 2 or 3 years, then he marries another computer there and gets settled. So, no doubt, such profession gives early settlement. But in science, it's a long drawn career. One has to do masters, PhD, and maybe postdoctoral fellowship. Coming to the point of avenues, yes, there are avenues. Yeah, your immediate question in the minds of the students will be, what will be my future after my do masters or PhD? Yes, as Prof C.N.R. mentioned, now ISERs, very passionate institutions have been created in this country. So those who have done good PhDs can find avenues in these ISERs, national laboratories, and some of the universities which are research intensive. As Mahesh knows, the national education policy carves three types of institutions, one category being research intensive institutions. Thus, of course, it's a long run career. Not that I get the job in the next 2 years. As Professor Rao mentioned, through science also we can earn money.
Yeah.
Example, I have another small example.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So earlier, the myth was Saraswati and Lakshmi never lived together. Now that phase is over. They are happily living together. So why I am telling is, some of the students may have in their mind, can I become rich through science? Yes. A rather emphatic yes. Yeah.
Okay. So this is coming from Mr. Kshitish Tapliyal. His question is, what are the job prospects for a PhD in cognitive sciences in India? So this person seems to have done PhD in cognitive sciences. And
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
There are a few laboratories like National Physical Laboratory and such laboratories. There is a future for cognitive science. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. This is coming from Krati Saxena, sir. Her question is, can someone give a detailed insight into pure sciences as a career? Pure sciences.
Yeah, pure sciences as a career, as I said, one can become a scientist in a national laboratory. There are a host of national laboratories, and many of them are at the retiring stage, which means new openings are coming up in national laboratories, CSIR national laboratories, DST institutions, DRDO institutions, ICMR institutions, and ISERs. Yes, there is, but one thing, always science looks for the best people.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Siddharth.
may not be, because science is not a mass recruiter.
Yeah. Sir, someone who studied in material sciences, do you think he will have an opportunity of working in oceanography? Is there some kind of a synergy between oceanography and material sciences?
Yeah, very interesting question.
Yes, sir.
Now, the world is moving towards blue economy.
Yes, sir.
I do not know how many are aware of this blue economy. So, it's believed that underneath the ocean, there are vast mineral resources and materials. Thus, materials, the people who have mastered in material science and who have expertise in material science could look at oceanography and contribute towards blue economy. Blue economy is yet to take off in the country and also in the world. Such avenues will be pioneering avenues.
Okay. This is a question from Purnima Varshne, sir. Her question is, what kind of job a researcher can expect whose work is in the absorption of metals, dyes, and pharmaceutical containments?
Straight away, I may not be able to answer.
Okay,
but
sir,
many,
we will get back to them, so don't worry about that, because we need to research everything. The thing is that is it important to read a lot to be in the field of science? In the sense that, is there a lot of I'm now talking very foundational for a student who's in class 12 and thinking of science as a career, and it's too far ahead for him in that sense, right? Him or her. Is it what is it that a student requires in terms of aptitude? Is it reading or observing, or what is it that is needed, sir?
Okay, reading, understanding, and inquisitiveness. Say
Inquisitive.
lifelong reading. That is true with many of the professions. Even a doctor goes on reading the new things. Say, maybe a doctor who was trained 20 years back, he might not have seen robosurgery. Today, he or she has to read, learn. Likewise, science is a lifelong reading and gives the joy. Yeah.
Sir, this is question from Prachi Naresh. The question is, which one has a better job scope in India? A BSc in biochemistry, biotechnology, microbiology, or life sciences?
All of them belong to the same category. Biotechnology, I feel, because today India is the world factory for vaccines. So biotechnology has better prospects. We can't differentiate like that.
Okay, okay. This is a question from Aziz Sheikh, sir. His question is, I'm interested in studying MSc in physics. I've completed my BSc in aircraft maintenance. Please, so he's wants to do MSc in physics. He's done aircraft maintenance at this point at undergrad level.
Yeah, it's permissible. One has to take entrance examination such as just JEST. In fact, JNCASR, where from C.N.R is, they encourage students to go for masters and integrated PhD through that just examination.
This coming from Arunta, sir. Arunta is asking the future of biochemistry in India.
Yeah, biochemistry has a promising future, and now as people are thinking of developing vaccines, no. In addition, I'll tell you the APIs, active pharmaceutical ingredients. 70 to 80% of our requirements are coming today from China. Now, 3 weeks back, the government of India has issued a circular to pharmaceutical industries. Please develop the following 52 APIs, active pharmaceutical ingredients. Thus, biochemistry has a promising future. In fact, SRM University AP, we are now tying up with industry to develop one of the APIs.
Brilliant, sir. Brilliant. So this is a question about theoretical physics.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on theoretical physics and the future prospects and everything, sir?
Okay. Theoretical physics in several areas. For example, quantum dots is one area of theoretical physics. Now, computational material science is coming up, where again theoretical physics is needed. See, for example, some time back, to develop a new material, it was taking 10 years. Let us say DRDO or anybody is looking to develop a new material with definite requirements. It was taking 10 years. Now through computational material science, it is expected and agreed upon that in just 2-3 years, the material can be developed. Thus, theoretical science has several dimensions. Of course, again in astronomy, astrophysics, theoretical physics is involved. Then material science and also quantum dots. Yeah.
Yeah. Sir, can you elaborate a bit more on earth sciences, sir? Because that seems to be a question that's coming multiple times here.
Okay. Earth sciences comprise of studies of underneath the earth as well as above the earth. Underneath the earth, generally we say geology, like that. Then above the earth, first is atmospheric boundary layer, which extends up to about 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers. It is responsible for the onset of monsoons.
Yes.
And also several other phenomena. Again, as I explained, the troposphere contains the weather. Then the stratosphere, which does not allow UV as well as ozone onto this. And also, now earth sciences, what I mean is above the earth, plays a major role in global warming as well as climate change. Coming to space applications, re-entry of space vehicles, mesosphere plays a major role. Now, people are developing reusable launch vehicles.
Okay.
Yeah, already ISRO has demonstrated one such RLV. Then the space launch becomes very cost effective. And now SpaceX recently sent astronauts and they want to launch thousands of small satellites. I don't know how many thousands, maybe 35,000 or 40,000 small satellites. So, for the students who are participating in this webinar, that's also a good proposition, but it needs huge investments. Some startup can come up, then investors will flock in.
Saurabh, I think that answers your question. The next question is from Subhash and Meenu. Both are asking about food and technology sciences. So, is there any science for in food and technology space?
Yeah, food processing.
Okay.
See, I will elaborate on that.
Yes, sir.
In India, in several parts, some of the rich horticulture crop like tomatoes, oranges, and they are going waste. Now, if a plausible technology is developed for food processing, then one can make good wealth out of that. Food processing has a great future.
Okay. Okay. Sir, there is this belief that PhD is far better when you do outside of India than within India. And that's a question that's coming from a couple of people here. I'm not quoting the names because the names keep repeating themselves.
Okay, it's okay.
Yeah, but sir, what is your opinion about PhD?
Okay. That is a very general statement outside India and within India. Even in US, there are a spectrum of universities, a rather wide spectrum of universities. Definitely doing PhDs in some Ivy League institutions and well-known universities, yes, it is somewhat better than doing here in the country because they have invested vast resources in their laboratories and also expertise. Within India also, there are some good institutes. Again, the example being ISRS and a few universities. Suppose somebody does a PhD in ISR or some good university, he or she can be comparable to other PhD in US or elsewhere.
So this
I don't deny that statement. I don't agree completely with the statement.
I understand, sir. That's what a lot of people say, sir. Undergrad for sure in India. Postgrad, you can decide between the two depending on the institution that you get yourself into.
Yeah.
If you, it is not about generalizing, sweeping the, having a sweeping statement saying outside is better, India is not good and all. You have very bad institutes outside. You have very good institutes within India also. So that's how it is.
See, somehow in this country, we have been focusing on undergraduate education in many of the premier institutions to a good extent of time to cater to the industrial needs of this country.
Yes.
Now, slowly we are moving on to research areas.
Sir, this is a question from Kriti Vikram Srivatsava. It's an interesting question, sir. I'm a science student of class 12th. And I love to do chemistry practicals more than theory. Which career path should I choose? So she likes practicals and she doesn't like theory.
Fine.
Chemistry.
See, nobody can shy away completely from theory. But practicals, yes, very many of the students will have great interest in practicals. Yes, you pursue with your practicals and you will have a good future. But don't shy away completely from theory. It's not possible.
Yeah. This is a question from Patiban Bas, sir. Parthiban Bas. Sir, would the research in field of ornithology, entomology, etc., have more future scope in India moving forward? So he's talking about
entomology, other one?
ornithology.
Huh?
Ornithology. Ornithology. You can talk of entomology to begin with, sir.
Yeah, entomology, no, I may not be able to answer. It has a good future. Yeah.
Okay. But
sir, I don't have expertise in that.
I understand that, sir. Sir, what, in your opinion, we also have people who are writing NEET examination, and a lot of them would want to do pure sciences if they, their primary objective is obviously NEET and MBBS and all. But you know that the demand supply gap is so high that some of them actually can steer clear of MBBS and start doing pure sciences on the other side of it. What is your students' who are writing NEET and how can we guide them to talk of alternate career paths, sir?
Yeah, yeah. See, through NEET also, after MBBS, you said they can pursue careers in microbiology, biochemistry, pathology, which have good future. Not only good future, there is a dire need.
Okay. Sir, this is from Apur Tiwari. His question is on quantum computing and its future.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's where I mentioned that quantum dots. Quantum computing is coming up in a big way. Maybe in the next 5 years or 10 years, all the computers, the existing ones, will be and could be replaced by quantum computers. Only very few people are available in the country and abroad. If somebody has a passion, I recommend that immediately to pursue that.
This is a question from Shubham Bhatuni, sir. His question is, where should one go for study in science, particle science? He's talking of particle sciences.
Yeah.
India or a foreign country? If we choose India, are there enough research activities at the academic level?
In India, particle physics, yes, it is at some stage, but abroad, there are many established laboratories.
Okay. So you would suggest that he will pick up some university outside of India and then deal with that. And again, this abroad thing keeps coming back, sir, but so I would skip that question. Even MBBS has come back again and again. Sir, how about agriculture? So if you talk of sciences as a career, and a lot of people want to do BTech agriculture, BSc agriculture, and those kind of things, right? So if someone is interested in the agricultural side of work, what are the kind of science, niche sciences that one should take up to help that space? So can you elaborate on agricultural sciences in the sense, what are the kind of programs that or courses that you have, and what kind of prospects you would have out of that?
No, I may not be able to answer.
You may not be able to do that, sir. Again, the question of theoretical physics keeps coming back.
Yeah.
Sir, how about aerosciences and you actually have aeronautical engineering and you have aerosciences and aerospace, right? So for people who are all about drone technologies, everything that flies, everything that takes off and zooms off and all, can you elaborate on what exactly is the kind of courses that you have and the kind of job prospects or career path that they would have, sir?
See, the students who pursue aerospace engineering can find avenues for the design of drones, launch vehicles, and also spacecraft or aircraft. Those who pursue in aeronautical engineering can be more conversant with the flight requirements and aircraft designs.
Sir, this is a question from Sunny Khandare. His question is, he is doing MSc chemistry, but is confused about different fields within chemistry. Is there something that you can suggest to him, sir?
Okay, in the chemistry, organic chemistry, the synthetic organic chemistry, synthesis has more industrial applications. That again depends on the aptitude and interest of the student. But coming to industrial applications, yes, organic chemistry.
Okay. Is there any course called BSc in food technology, sir? This is a question from Mahasabde. The question is on food technology.
Yeah, there are some institutes which offer. Yeah. In fact, for food technology, there are specialized institutions. One CSIR institute is there in Mysore, and also another defense institute is there.
Okay. Last two questions, sir. I won't take much of your time. This is from Balaji Muthulakshmanan. He's talking of, is psychology first of all a science or an art, sir? What is it? Is it science or an art?
Combination too.
Okay.
Yeah. So in psychology also, you need to carry out several scientific experiments.
Okay. So in a sense, there is a proper lab where a psychology thing also.
Yeah, there is.
There are labs.
Yes, some institutions offer MA psychology. Yeah. Some universities offer MSc psychology.
Okay.
That speaks.
But who succeeds, sir, in a certain sense?
No, that we cannot say. You can't ask me a question whether a space scientist succeeds or economist succeeds.
Okay,
Both
sir.
of them succeed in their own way.
Yeah. Last question, sir. This is from Praveen Joshi. He wants some guidance on forensic sciences.
Yeah. Forensic sciences are offered by some of the institutes. In Hyderabad,
Yes,
there is
sir.
a exclusive laboratory for forensic sciences.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I think there are many questions that are coming up, sir, but I'll skip now because I know that I've taken only 1 hour and I'm short of time, sir. But I will also send a few questions that are coming in at some point in time, sir, because I just want to help the students out in some of the
Yeah.
questions. I will reach
Sure.
out at some point. And
I'll try to
yes, sir.
answer. Okay.
And thank you so much for joining us, sir. It was a pleasure talking to you as always. And I hope that I'll keep bothering you to bring you back here and then working with the students. So thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Mahesh. I love to work with students.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Bye. కానీ అన్ని క్వశ్చన్లు ఆన్సర్ చేయలేము. See,